Live! That's right, boys and girls, we are live as Blackburn Rovers gear up for what could be the most important week of their season, of course. Big games right around the corner, and we're going to talk about that now. And we're live, goodness gracious me. Wherever you are in the world, subscribe, smash the like, of course. We're going to get chatting with all things Rovers related. Got lots to talk about today. And, of course, I'm joined by some very, very good-looking people, including John T. Are you there? John T is there, of course. Fresh off the bat, we did play Derby this past weekend. You were there. Good first half, pretty terrible second half. Kind of summing up for everybody else out there that didn't catch the game.
I think you just have done, Dirk, to be fair. I thought we were really good first half. Derby weren't at the races. We just did everything that we needed to do for a good away performance. And I think probably the second half shocked us a little bit. We kind of went into our shells. Derby came out. There's a horrible statistic, whether it's true or whether it's not. I've not done any research into it, but John Eustace just generally doesn't like coming from behind. Oh, that sounds weird, doesn't it? He doesn't like once his team goes into a losing position. It's very rare. I think it's only the second time in his whole career that he's come from behind. So, oh God, I can't stop saying that, can I? But anyway, we were the victims of that on Saturday, making it his third time. So yeah, it was disappointing. I thought first half we were really good. We had two or three really, really good chances. We put one of them away. Derby had half chances, maybe, the one-on-one with Diaz and what have you. But no, I thought we looked really comfortable in the first half. Second half, I thought Derby would, to be fair, taking my blue and white goggles off, I thought Derby were really good. It was just constant. We were just being absolutely battered. It was wave after wave of attack, and we couldn't cope with it. And for the first time in a long time, our defence actually looked a little bit nervous. I don't know. I spoke to some Rovers fans at half time, and we had every right to be confident because Derby just looked a bang average, if not slightly below a championship team. They came out and proved why they are where they are.
And I watched it, of course, from the comfort of my seat. But what was it like seeing some, because, we played up against former Rovers in the past, but this one, a match with some figureheads that have had significant success in a Rovers shirt, Smodic, Diaz, Travis, and of course, what was that like seeing in them with that performance against Rovers? It's because it sounds in the way you're talking a little bit down in the dumps a little bit, but how was it like seeing those former stars of ours that did so well in their careers for Rovers?
Yeah, I mean, it hurts. Of course it does. I'd be lying and bitter if I said anything else. But seeing Travis rally the troops, he didn't have a great game against Rovers, and his stupidity, his shithousery, led to Rovers' first goal. That's the harsh reality of it. He was just stupid on Yuki. Completely Derby were in possession, deep in their own half, but just playing it across the back. And he went and put two hands on Yuki, pulled him to the floor, and it was a blatant like push and shove, and thankfully I don't even know if the referee saw it, whether the linesman saw it, whether it was a fourth official, but it was the right decision at the end of the day. Going back to your original question, it's painful to see Travis, absolutely bled blue and white for such a long period of his career, playing in a Derby shirt, and also not only just playing in a Derby shirt, but galvanising, motivating, shouting, screaming. Like I say, it wasn't his best game. Diaz, I was never his big fan. I think whilst he can give him the ball in the 18-yard box, and he'll work wonders with it. But everything else about his play, I always felt at Rovers he was a bit of a passenger. So sometimes it felt like we were playing with 10 men. Schmodix, compared to I went to Ipswich away, when he came off the bench, he looked a lot more lively than what he did than when he started against Rovers at Derby. So yeah, by his standards, I thought he had a pretty poor game, to be fair. But then also, you've not mentioned Dion Sanderson. I thought Dion Sanderson again was okay. He's not going to be the player that everybody shouts about and screams about, but equally, I thought he did a pretty solid job in the centre of the Derby defence. So yeah, all in all, just a really it wasn't a must-win game with Derby. It would have been lovely. It would have been a free hit. I would have been happier with a draw, to be fair. And at half-time, we were all saying, there's every reason why we should go on and win this, maybe 2-0, maybe 2-1. And, we knew Derby were going to come back out at us. I called it on the vlog that I think we're going to see a pretty defensive second-half display, but that certainly exceeded my expectations as to how Derby came out. It pains me to say it again, but John Eustace, whatever he said to them in the changing room absolutely worked, and we were there for the taking, unfortunately.
Yeah, it wasn't the best second half, and of course we walked away with nothing. Jacob, you were not there, but maybe caught a glimmer of the game yourself. And again, you've been very vocal about, Spanish in the past, good player. And of course, you were a big admirer of John Eustace, and, it just goes to show what we're missing out on. But in regards to our current coach, Michael O'Neill, from the 3 or 4 games that he's been in charge, have you seen anything to get yourself excited about?
I think we're all a bit excited after obviously those first couple wins, to the point where people were even maybe half jokingly, maybe serious, saying we're only X amount of points, however many it was, off the playoffs. I think we've kind of come tumbling back down to earth now. I think we've kind of had that new manager bounce, and as Jonty rightly says, this game was very much a free hit. But I think the more demoralising thing about it, obviously, just is obviously the shoddy defence to chuck away a 1-0 lead. I caught the second half, and wasn't enamoured with what I was seeing, I'll be honest. But we always knew we were going to be up against it. The thing I kind of have appreciated the most about Michael O'Neill is his post-match comments, just being brutally honest and aiming his frustrations at the board level, for sure, which we'll probably see him not get a contract for next season now, but just being absolutely savage about Moody's recruitment, and just being completely honest and saying, look, this squad just is not good enough. We've had some major hits now, with obviously Miller and Sondre being written off for the rest of the season. 2 of our definitely better players this season, 2 of probably our top 5 players this season. So it is a huge blow, but the business we've done this season, I think most fans will say has been pretty shambolic. We've absolutely decimated a squad that was, 1 goal away from making the playoffs last year, and we are very much still in a relegation battle. I think, as I said, I think people kind of lost sight of that after a couple of wins. It kind of, me included, to be fair. I thought, oh, we'll be fine now. He's got us playing the right way and all this sort of stuff. But this squad is extremely poor, and we'll be talking about it later, obviously. But the Pompey and Oxford games are absolutely crucial, and those are the types of opponents we usually like to chuck points away, when we're up against it, and we desperately need to win points against the weaker sides. We always seem to fail on that front, so hopefully we don't, else we could very well find ourselves in League One next season.
Yeah, it's not looking good right now. We've got some, very important games coming up, and of course the next 2 very much on the agenda. One chap who's been away from a while, and there he is. Look at that good-looking fella, Denver. How the devil are you? We've missed you. We've had to put up with Jacob's negativity overload, but hopefully you're here to kind of steady the ship a little bit. What have you made from the newer? Because we've not been had a chance to talk to you. I think the last pod you were cruising somewhere. I don't know, Amsterdam. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
You naughty boy. You were out in Amsterdam. Your your take on the new manager. Of course, I think last time we spoke, we thought it was going to be Gary Rowett. He's of course gone to Leicester. But Michael O'Neill. Again, people are saying 2 games or 2 wins for him. I don't know if we can give that QPR win to him. But what's your take on him so far in the hot?
Are you sure it's not Martin O'Neill, Dirk?
Whatever. Yeah.
But regarding the Jacob's comments and everything, and try and balance the ship and everything, I think we're just doomed. I think we're down. No, anyway, enough of the jokes. My honest opinion. I remember watching that Norwich game. I was actually on the Amsterdam tour. I was in the Johan Cruyff Arena tour. I was sat in the press conference room. We'd gone around all the you've done all the walkout and everything. You're looking at this grand stadium, and then I had a bit of a moment actually when I was there, thinking I was actually closer to Norwich than you guys, and like my dad was, who of course we live in Wales, and I'm thinking I'm actually technically closer to Norwich than you guys are, which is a weird concept to think of. But as we're walking around talking about Blackburn, a few of the people who you support, because I was watching the game and they saw me, Blackburn, and we got chatting. But it was a pretty they were 2 sloppy goals, but at the same time they're very unfortunate how they've ricocheted back to one of their players. But yeah, and we've of course appointed Michael O'Neill, to make sure we get the name right. And then the first 2 games, we're on cloud 9. We can look a bit of a fortune. Yes, he never really had much of a he's had the team for 24 hours at that point against QPR, and I think as much as it was a good performance, the first, I want to say 20 minutes or 30 minutes of that game, we were under the cosh at times, and then we went and scored the other end, and that's football sometimes. But I think you're going to lose games doing that more, as we can see against Derby. But of course, the following game was against Preston, which I was at. You'll have caught, of course, in Jacob's vlog. We had a little bit of a spiel, but yeah, I said 0-0 in the predictions, and it could have easily been a 0-0. To be honest, we've got a goal at the end. I chuffed a bit, but the game on the whole, it was as much as we were the dominant side in the second half, that could have easily fizzled out as an 0-0 draw, and in most cases at a non, it would have done. And then of course following fixtures were of course not so great. Derby, and I'm trying to think of the other game, Bristol City, wasn't it, where we were 1-0 up, we'd gone up, and then I don't know, we just looked a bit like the warning signs were there and it was time to do something, and we never really did, and then we conceded 2 goals and it was too late by then. And it's very similar with Derby. We've got the goal, we should have made it 2-0. Good Johnson's doing my head in, such a confidence player, and he's clearly not got any at the minute, and so he should have scored one against Bristol City, clear chance, he misses it, and then he goes and does that against Derby, and it's just like, it's just, anyway, he can go on a Good Johnson rant at some point. But yeah, and then when you can see the pressure's building up and we're just not adapting to it, and can we blame Michael O'Neill on that? He's not had the squad long enough to know what changes to make and what to bring off the bench to really create an impact, which at the minute we really don't have loads. We're still quite a few injuries in, but yeah, it is a pretty, after that first half I was buzzing. I was like, I'm glad I never got picked for the squad for me playing on Saturday, because I get to watch this. And then the second half was just painful to watch, and the warning signs were coming, nothing really changed, and yeah, it was really just second best, and it was really poor to watch. And let's just hope that we don't keep doing that, because that's the thing that's hurting us. It's been all season where we've had spells of good pieces to play, and then we won't score, and then we'll concede, and it's just been the story of our season so far, and it's just trying to get out of that rut. And we thought we did potentially with the Preston wins and even QPR, as much as I wasn't convinced completely. What we've seen is more of what we had for the 2/3 of the season already, and if we can't break the ducks back or the horses back, I don't know the terminology, but if we don't get out of this rust, basically, it's not looking good. But yeah, do I think we'll go down?
Hold that quiet. Whoa. Wait, no. Save that for later. I've got a nice little thing up my sleeve. But of course, it is a massive game right around the corner. And of course, this man is well and truly under the spotlight. Of course, but on the horizon, in about 4 or 5 games' time, he changes his jacket from this jacket to, well, that's the run of form right there, to this jacket. It's the Northern Ireland shirt, of course. And this is what's on the agenda for Northern Ireland, of course. And I want to ask you, Rovers fans, what is our mindset going into the international break? Do we want him to succeed as a Northern Ireland coach? Do we want him to fail at the first attempt so we can get back to Ewood to start looking for the next game? Because he could potentially has 2 games, definitely taking on Italy. He could take on the winner. But what, with this double-headed hat he's got to wear, what is the best scenario for Rovers fans, Jonty?
I was hoping you were going to come to me last, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, what's the best scenario, Jacob?
I'm happy to answer it. I'm not going to shit out of it.
Go, Jacob. Jonty, tell us your thoughts.
Obviously we want him back at Rovers ASAP, especially after the QPR result and the PNE result. However, that said, after the Bristol City and Derby second half, certainly, then it depends who's pulling the strings behind the scenes. You'd like to think that he's making an impact and things like that. I was happy with his appointment, don't get me wrong, but then also equally, the first half against Bristol City, after we went 1-0 up, we just, we weren't good. And then second half against Derby City, that's a new one, isn't it?
Derby Rovers.
Yeah, Derby Rovers. Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. Fraudulent slip. We weren't good, sort of thing. And it's stuff like that where you really see the value of your manager on the touchline, galvanising the players, changing stuff. Again, there's a couple of concerns. I know it's early doors creeping in, but he's making sort of like for like changes. He's 2-1 down at Derby, and very little was changing. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I think I would at this moment in time prefer to see Northern Ireland out of the qualifiers and him back at Ewood Park and Brockwell as soon as possible. Of course I would, but there's just a little bit of just something holding me back from categorically saying that.
Yeah, because if they were successful and then they do make it through to the World Cup, is his mind going to be elsewhere, or will he be fully? He probably wouldn't give 2 shits really about the success of Rovers because he's got the grand prize, or at least the grand spectacle as the World Cup. Jacob, what's your take on this looming sort of shadow that we're living under at the minute?
Well, it's not often me and John to agree, but I have to say I agree with him. I think I'd definitely like for Northern Ireland to lose that game. There's a reason why a lot of managers are sacked just before an international break, and it's because that week or 2-week period, however long, is so important for the manager to get on the grass, get acclimatized with the new players, drill into them, a style of play and whatnot. And obviously, he's not going to be there ultimately. So if he ends up losing and he comes back and he has some time with the players, it's definitely better than none. I'm not sure if there's another international break after this, but that time he has with the players could be the most important time and could genuinely be the difference between us staying up or going down. So yeah, definitely wanting to lose. Sorry, Michael, but yeah, it's what's best for Rovers if they lose.
Well, looking ahead, and again, you'll see it in some of the graphics here in a minute. A lot of Rovers' future could be secured really within the next couple of matches. In fact, the next 2 definitely massive. If we do win those, our situation does look a little clearer. But let's spin it a little bit differently. Let's just say England were in Northern Ireland's position. He was the manager of England. How would you want to see that one pan out then, Denver?
I don't know. It's I don't know.
Because there are some Northern Ireland fans out there, and of course they're going to be in a bit of a limbo here. They're like, "Oh, I've got my country lying online. I've got my club, in dire straits." It's for those Northern Irish folks, because none of us, and I don't think, have got any Northern Ireland roots within us.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? If you're Northern Irish, I don't even know when the last time. I don't know my Northern Irish football history massively, but if you've got a sniff of being in a World Cup, of course you're gonna want to take it. But from the Blackburn Rovers head, of course, it's a dire situation, and you've got to remember all the teams around us, their managers aren't going off to coach another team, and we are. So what's that gonna do with the hindsight's gonna be a wonderful thing. If we go down, it'd be like, oh yeah, it was silly hiring a manager who had his mind elsewhere, and if he just keeps us up, it would have been the greatest decision ever. But it's a tough one, especially if you're, I'm sure, a Northern Irish fan. You'll be, I don't know, you and that wasn't a 6-7 reference either. But it was just, you don't know what you'd want really. You'd hope for the best outcome possible, of course. Northern Ireland managing to beat Italy and then getting through to the final potentially, and somehow Rovers having a great run of form and getting some players back who can come back better than ever. But yeah, as a neutral, an England international fan and a Blackburn fan, I don't know. Also with my coaching head, if I was Michael O'Neill, I want to be successful with both, because ultimately on your resume, getting to World Cup is going to be fantastic, but at the same time, you don't want to be getting relegated and then all of a sudden you don't know what Northern Ireland are thinking. If they're looking at you as a manager at Blackburn and you're getting relegated and not performing very well, and this is your first time in a World Cup in God knows how long, are you going to want to keep him? I know it might be a silly thing to change, but it's just food for thought potentially. But if I'm, Michael O'Neill, I wanted to win every game possible. So yeah, I don't know. It's not, it's gonna be, again, time will be the best decider here, I think. But I'm so undecided on what's going to be best and what's not.
Denver sitting on the fence. There's a first, isn't it?
What a surprise!
Yeah, just quickly. Wi-Fi code number 2 has just said, "Am I the only one who thinks Tronstad has been so underwhelming this season? 4 out of 10." And to that, yes, you are the only person who thinks that.
Well, you've not opened it up to the panel yet,
No, but we're going to roll into Mr. Tronstad in just a second, because despite of the international break looming, we are heading into, and I'm going to regurgitate this, the 2 biggest games of the season. With this as our current injury list of players, we're out with Hedges, Cantwell apparently still not back, and the big name that's not on this list is Tronstad. We'll talk about him in a minute. One guy that is out, of course, is the Australian, out for a good chunk of time, Lewis Miller. Again, with the World Cup, he was going to go with the Socceroos, but he's out there now, I think, for the best part of the calendar year. So I doubt we'll see him in 2026. It's that bad of an injury. But it was announced earlier today that Tronstad's injury is significant enough to rule him out for the season, and probably rule him out as returning in a blue and white half, see for Blackburn Rovers. What's your take, everybody? If you want to, I don't know who wants to start on the current state of the injuries with Rovers. If we go back to the graphic here, of course, Tronstad major injury. Cargbo's coming back.
Tavares is coming back, and Scotty Ward's coming back.
Yeah. But,
I'm pretty sure.
Who is, if we are going to succeed, who is the most important one to get
Tronstad.
back?
Tronstad, no brainer. Yeah, no brainer. Tronstad. It'd be a very, very sorry state of affairs through nobody's fault. If we don't see Tronstad in a blue and white shirt again, I think he's been a warrior whilst he's been at Rovers. He's had the occasional shitty game, but so does every player. But I think he will be our biggest loss out of all of that. I think Miller, for me, is he the greatest player? No, but is he absolutely passionate and full of heart and commitment? And that's what you love. I've said for a long time, it's not the manner in which, it's not the way you lose, it's the manner in which you lose. And that guy will always give 110%. He's a true Aussie through and through, isn't he? He just gives it all. So yeah, he'll be a loss. I hope he's still around the training camp. I hope he's still around the squad on a match day, because one day I think he'll be he might make a coach sort of thing. But I mean, looking at the rest of the injuries, Scotty Wharton, can't wait to get him back. I daren't say it, but Ainsley Pears. I think Toth has done all right, don't get me wrong, but it is a 50-50 split between Rovers fans. I know I get a lot of stick in the comments about Toth and Pears. I just think Pears controls his box and shouts a lot more than Toth does. Toth one-on-one shot stopper, he's good. I'm not saying he's a bad keeper. I'm just saying that I prefer Pears personally. As for the rest of the list, Todd Cantwell, it's just, for me, it's every time we seem to play him, we lose, or we struggle. We try to go through maybe too much of him. He's a very big fish in a small pond. Maybe he might be a little bit better with a medium-sized fish in a medium-sized pond sort of thing. So we're not heavily reliant on him. But anyway, over to somebody else.
I think as well, Dirk. I think I saw Carter's injured again, isn't he?
He was subbed off the last game, but what I was led to believe that he should be. Well, I don't know if there's been more developments today, but he should be back in contention for the weekend. But he did get. And I think we were. While he's been on the pitch recently, we've been in good shape. As soon as we've taken him off, that's when we've gone to kind of shit a little bit. So it goes to show how vital he is going to be for this run. And should he be fit, I think him and Cashin and McLaughlin at the back ain't too bad. But it's just when we lose Carter. But no, I think he's still in the mixer there. But yeah.
Sorry.
Cardboard coming back from naive Steve. Cardboard, love that. I think in terms of the list there, Miller's a big hit. As I said, I think I'd have him in my top 5 this season. Like Dante said, he's not the most gifted. His touch is absolutely horrendous at times. I think sometimes he just gives away the ball so he can just crunch someone. But I think he's definitely a future captain. And it was just epitomised when he went over advertising board and just jumped straight back onto the pitch. Whereas if that was Todd Cantwell, someone else on that list, he'd be down for a good 5-10 minutes. Speaking of Todd, I think it's quite interesting looking at the stats we have with and without Todd. And without Todd, the results are a hell of a lot better. So, he's definitely not people's biggest fan online at the minute. I think there's a lot of people who are just saying he's off in the summer anyway, sod him off sort of thing. We're better without him. In terms of Sondre, that's a huge miss. And at the fans forum, Gusted mentioned that he will be leaving in the summer due to his family issues, wanting to go back to Scandinavia. Todd will be leaving because of wage demands, and the same with Toff as well. So, yeah. And I mean, Scott Wharton, it'd be a benefit to have back. He's more of that kind of natural leader type, but it's just how many more chances we keep giving your Scott Whartons and your Hayden Carters. But Ryan Hedges has been brilliant this season. I've kind of just completely forgot about Hedges, to be honest. He's been out quite a while, hasn't he? But he's played his best football this season in a Rovers shirt. Under Val, albeit. So will we be getting the kind of old Hedges under O'Neill, or will he carry on with his good form under Val?
Denver, anything on these injuries that we got here?
Yeah, it's just an interesting, of course, Jacob picking up on the point of some of these players leaving, and it's like, even if we do survive this year by I won't say miracle, but let's say we do. What's going on next? What's the plan for next year? Like, where are we moving forward? All these key assets and leaving the club. As much as people seem to want to force Todd out, it's at the end of the day, he's a Blackburn Rovers player, and if under different circumstances, I'm sure he'd be a great asset at the club now and fighting for the right end of the pitch. But with what we're trying to do here, see, I remember saying this when we knew we were going back down this road of finding the gems and moving forward. We did this under JDT, and look what happened. We nearly went down. So then we went back, reversed back to having that mixed balance of youth and championship adept players who've been around there. And look what we did. We nearly got promoted, and then we've kind of gone back to this, and it's like, you know, what have we learned? We've not learned anything.
Projects.
Yeah, these projects, and look, it's all well and good having a project, but you're gonna blueprint the project that apparently was going to work last time. It clearly hasn't, and
they're not projects, though, are they? They can't even spell projects. It's just bullshit.
They can't spell lounge either,
yeah, it's just smoke and mirrors, isn't it? It's just smoke and mirrors, isn't it? But it's there's no such thing as a project. Football for me is short term. It's the here and now. It's just do what you need to do in that particular season. There's no strategical thinking. There's no direction for it. It's just literally you could hire a fantastic manager, you know, and do amazingly well, and then you go on this journey, and you know it's all part of the strategical thinking. Bollocks. I'd love to see what they did 5 years ago and see where they were going. There's none of that sort of thing. You can't predict football. Nobody has a crystal ball. But anyway, I'm going to shut my rant. Katie mentioned right at the top, I can't wait for Johnny's rant. So I'm gonna rein them in tonight, Katie. I'm going to rein them in.
Or maybe I'll instigate something that gets them out of here. But Denver did touch on it. The future. What is the future? Well, this is a bit of the future. These are the guys currently expected to leave right here, right now. The guys with contracts expiring. And of course, the loanees in yellow. From bottom to top, I'll start with you, Denver. Who do you want to see back? Who do you expect to see back? Who don't you want to see back from that list of 8?
At this point, though, it's not a question of who we want to keep. Like, who can we afford to who can we afford to let go at this point? Like, Adam Forshaw's been immense, but he's the wrong side of 30. And as much as he's been fantastic, he's just not going to be in week in, week out of a player. Tronstad would love to keep him, but of course, of what again, he's going to be 30 by that point. But Baraji, just I'm just looking at him. He's actually younger than me. That's disgusting to see. And then Garda Hickman, and all of them. The person who I'm going to be most upset to leave is Cashin, just because of how immense he's been, and but he's not going to want to stick around and play for Blackburn Rovers. He's going to want to look on and push on to a team who wants to challenge the top end of the championship, which yes, of course we are, but the way that our project is leading us towards is definitely not, is trending the wrong way in the table. So he's going to want to push on for a top championship side. Igor Tyjon, of course, the heavy links. Was it Arsenal or Tottenham? I can't remember which one it was. One of them.
All the big boys.
So I can see him doing an Ash Phillips, because if you look at Ash Phillips, he was promised all the world, and once he signed that contract, he never saw the first team again. So I don't blame him for wanting to move on and get in regular game time, and regardless of what age group that was. And Montgomery as well. Why would you want to at this point? Why do you want to stay at this club? Unfortunately, that the fans aren't going to be enough. If you're not challenging for those, upwards in the table, you look at like your Wrexham and stuff like that. You want to go there. It's a good project. It's and we're just not that at the minute. So who can? Ideally, you'd like to sign a few of these, but how are we going to get them? No. Again, that's disgusting. I'm just saying Cash he's nearly 2 years younger than me. Anyway.
He does look older. He does definitely look
exactly.
Jacob, you have a go? Because there was something in my mind, on my head here that I'm gonna pull out the woodwork in a minute. But carry on.
Sanjay's the biggest one there by far. What's he been? He's been with us for 3 years now, and he's consistent. Just an absolute stalwart in that midfield, and it's going to be a huge mess not having him in that relegation fight these last 10 games or so. I would have been a lot more confident going into those games with him than I feel now. For sure, I'd let go. He's been a very much bit part player, even though I think whenever he's featured this season, he's been brilliant. But you let him go and you give someone like Montgomery, who could end up becoming a decent player in a couple of years, and then you've got a sellable asset there. you give his wages to Montgomery, but I'm pretty sure in the fans forum, Rudy didn't specify who, but he said there are academy players who've played a couple times at championship first team level, and are now their agents are requesting massive increases in their wage bills. Obviously, Montgomery coming from the academy, probably on, let's say, £500 a week or something, a grand maybe at most, and is probably now asking for £5,000. So obviously, that's a 500% increase or whatever. But I think to be fair, he's featured enough times this season. He's looked solid enough to be a player there who can be a decent squad player. So I think you need to keep him on, and he's a homegrown player as well. Tyjon will leave. I've no doubt about that. He would have featured before Christmas if he had any intention of staying, but it seemed quite clear that he obviously wanted out, and he didn't get his move. Baraji, as frustrating as he can be at times, I would keep him. I think he's free in the summer, if I remember rightly. Gardner Hickman is a name I've not heard in a while. So, and there's no way Catching stays with us. He's too good for us. He's a bit like Owen Beck. He's too good for us, and he's too good for this club under the current way it's going. As Denver pointed out, no ambition, and it's only heading one way, it seems. So there's no way Cashin's going to come here. He'll go to a team that's fighting for Premier League next season, no doubt. And then, as I mentioned, Toff and Cantwell have got 1 year left this summer, so we're going to sell both of them. So, as Denver said right at the start of this, again, we're going to have another summer of rebuild, and let's just hope and pray Rudy's recruitment is a hell of a lot better than it's been this season, because, if we keep bringing in the likes of Dinev, Henriksen, and the like, who've just been absolute duds, have no experience at this level and look like fish out of water, then we're most definitely going down next season if we don't this season.
Jotty, of the guys there at the top of the graphic there, the over 30s, any likelihood that any of those stick around?
Maybe, but only because of their age. I think for sure he's grown on me, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him start a little bit more consistently. If you think about when JDT was at the club, he went for youth, and one of the first things that youth did was bring a bit of experience in. So I think, you do need that balance, and I think for sure does bring that balance. So, for sure, like I say, I thought it was really, really good at Derby. He didn't last a full period.
John, to be honest, it was that tackle on Schmodix, wasn't it? That sent you, wasn't it? That was definitely the one.
That was the one, mate. That was the one.
What a tackle.
He has grown on me, game on game. He's a little bit injury prone, but yeah, I'm all right with for sure. Tronstad, yeah, he's. I think, like somebody naive, Steve, my best mate, said in the comments, he's not had the best of seasons. I agree with that. But he's certainly, and this is maybe a thing to say, isn't it? He's not had the best of seasons, but he's still one of the standout players from this season, isn't he? Edges, yeah. I've always been all right with him. Looks like Jacob on that picture, doesn't he? But yeah, I've always been all right with him. And he's had a really good season this season up until injury. He's been one of our best. Baraji, that guy for me, yeah, has so much more to give, and he's shown his class, he's shown his quality. He's around the pitch. He's the kind of player that will kick the ball at right back and pick up his own passing in left side of midfield sort of thing. So good engine, just clumsy at times, gives the ball away a little bit too easily. Sometimes his first touch is horrendous. Taylor Gardner Hickman, too many surnames for my liking, so he's got to go.
Put your surname in there, boy.
That's detailed. That's detailed. Don't worry about that. Cashin, and I would love that guy to join, but I'd be pissed if I thought that he would stay at Blackburn Rovers. I'd love him to stay, but he ain't going to stay.
Give me a Derby.
Shut it. Christie, yeah, he's again. I think for me, sometimes it's all this Tinkerman. You know, just tinkering around with the team, bringing them on as substitute periods, a bit like, and I'll bring his name out again, Buckley. You know, just needs that consistent run of games, and I think we'll see the best of him. Just bringing him on for 35 minutes here, or sorry, the final 25-30 minutes or something like that. We ain't going to get the best, but I like what I see of him. And I've not really seen that much of him, but you know, there's a lot of hype about him. I think it's just a sad state of affairs where, you know, we sell some of our younger players and we've not really seen anything of them, you know. Your man smashing them in at, where did he go to? Oh my God, I shouldn't have started this conversation. The guy that went to Peterborough, Harry Leonard. He's absolutely smashing them in, and you know, I know it's League One, but you know, would he do it in the Premier League? I don't know. But the fact that he's not really starting for us in this situation, you know, Gudjonsson and Jugson have been a little bit hit and miss at times this season. So, you know, maybe we just need that player, that young player. I think Harry Leonard might have had a good season this season, but it's too late to say now, isn't it?
It is. And we do enter the next part of the season with these guys on, you know, with question marks around them. But let's have a quick look at where we are. We find ourselves in 20th position, which is here. Zoomed it in for you guys with struggles like me. That's the situation. We find ourselves 20th. Let's go back here. Just have a quick look at those around us. Yep. Okay. Whatever. And then this is the run-in right here, right now. Oxford are right around the corner. Portsmouth first and foremost this weekend. Both in and amongst it. Win both of those 6 points. Would drag us to 44 points. And I'll show you in a minute the recent or the last 10 seasons. What you'll need for safety. But also in this one we have West Brom and Leicester. I am looking ahead a little bit, and I probably shouldn't be. Beyond that, but besides the most important 2 games of the season, how many do you think we can actually win of the ones that remain? Millwall, Borough, Birmingham, West Brom, Stoke, Coventry. You know, any of those you just think are winnable? Do you think we can pick up a win against Leicester at home? Or
isn't that nuts? That could be the relegation decider on the last day of the season. Where 2 years ago it was them going off, and also a relegation decider for us 2 years ago.
And 10 years ago they were winning the Premier League. That's even more kicking the bollocks. So, isn't it?
20 years before that we were in the Premier League. So it's great time, eh?
Yeah, but I think 50 points is the magic mark, or I say the magic mark, the ones that you would comfortably say. You're going to be safe, but we got
relegated to 51, didn't we? So it's
yes. So that means 12 points. Of that, 11 games that we have remaining, realistically, with your blue and white tinted glasses on or not, Jacob. You know, what's your expectation for points for Rovers from those 11? Just them 11 games. How many do you think, if you can see?
No, John doesn't want to hear it. He's off. I think out of Portsmouth and Oxford, we'll win one and lose the other. I think maybe Oxford away, I'd lean towards that being the one we'd lose. It's going to be a pretty sour taste in the mouth at Ewood if we do lose that Portsmouth game. After that, Millwall, Borough, I think they're write-offs. You know, they've got stuff to fight for, and they're much better teams than we are this season. I think the games you're looking at, you know, wanting to pick points up from desperately are the teams, and it's always the case, that have just nothing to play for. So you get to Birmingham, if they can't really make playoffs at that point, and it's just consolation games, they've not got that fire in the belly. You have to make those games count, and you know, if we're 110% and they're only playing at 80%, then you need to take it to them ultimately. The same with Stoke. I can see them very much being in that position by the time we get to them. Sheffield United will be the same. Southampton will be the same. So those 4 games there are even more important in my eyes than, you know, the teams we're fighting around us, because they've still got something to play for. If we can't beat the teams who the season's over for them, then that really is a poor do. But obviously, you know, West Brom is going to be vitally important again at home. And as Denver said, Leicester, that could be a real cinematic end to the season if it's between us and them who goes down. But let's hope we've tied it up at that point and they're already down. So, how many points?
Just down 11.
Yeah, how many points? I'd like to think. I'd like to think we'd win at least 4 of those games. When you've got Portsmouth, Oxford, West Brom, and Leicester in there, I'd like to say we'd at least win 2 of those. 3 of those being home games, by the way. So that's 6 points. And then, as I said, those kind of consolation games: Birmingham, Stoke, Sheffield United, Southampton, where they've got nothing to play for. You'd expect to at least 2 of those 4. So yeah, I'll go with we'll get 12 points. Maybe pick up a point against Middlesbrough and Millwall if we're really lucky.
It's the home games that shit me up, though.
You are sorry?
It's the home games that shit me up more than anything. Do you know what I mean? Our worst performances have been at home this season, and I get your logic, and you ordinarily I'd think the same, but sometimes it's a home form which has been the downfall of our season.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. It's been pretty shambolic this season, but obviously we've got the 1 home win under O'Neill, and the 1 home loss. So we'll just have to see how we get on. But I suppose he would really need to become a fortress. It has been many seasons for us, over the past 10 years or so. But this season, it's just, as Jonty says, we've been better on the road, which is bloody awful, really, isn't it?
Denver, do you see any of those standouts as maybe we can smash and grab something?
I'm sure we can do that with all of them, but it just depends on what Rovers turns up on the day. I always go back to that Middlesbrough game. We were all there. You, me, Jonty were all sat there. We played really, really well, held out. They hit the post, I think, once, but other than that, we frustrated the hell out of Middlesbrough. And if we can get more performances like that, yes, for sure. But then it's the resulting games, the Sheffield Wednesday games where we needed to put the ball in the back of the net, and we didn't take our chance. How many games we don't take our chances? Bristol City come to mind in my head now. We let them score 2 goals and then we're bashing them. We don't put the ball away. Good Johnson not putting his chances away. And it just depends. I see that happening. Well, it's because it's happened most of the season, but I could see us knocking it all over Portsmouth. They nick a goal, we lose at home. Oxford United, very similar. Maybe we go 1-0 up, and how many times have we gone 1-0 up this season and lost or lost the point? It's how many? I think someone said it was like 6 games or something like that. So it's like somewhat ridiculous amount of points just dropped instantly. We'd be comfortably clear, pushing for playoffs at that point, but no. It's going to be a tough. I'm looking at those games and it could go either way. And it is a scary thought to think that we're looking for 12 points plus a few other, maybe a few draws there. So what's that? That's 4 wins and maybe another 2 draws.
Just say 11 points, Denver, and then you've got a point every game. Then you've properly sat on the fence. I love you, mate. I love you.
But it is a scary thought that fact that realistically we can't. How we get where? I can't see us getting 4 wins. How many wins have we got in the season currently? I'm trying to even think now.
It was 10. I think we have
10. So we need to pretty much halve that amount of wins in the window that we've got now. I can't see it happening. And it's a scary thought that. A scary thought, but hopefully West Brom and Leicester at the minute are completely woeful and it stays that way. But if out of nowhere, even Oxford just have a good run, it's just we're a little bit too close for comfort. But hey, let's hope that Johnson becomes the new Erling Haaland and Jorgensen becomes Alan Shearer and we get everyone back and we're not worried anymore. But we'll see.
It's a very good point that from Denver, but we've played 3/4 of the season now, and we're only on 10 wins, so we're looking at 4 wins from the last 10 games. So I think it's vitally important, and I do think O'Neill will go in with this mindset, like we were kind of saying going into that Preston game. It did seem like the priority was not to lose that game with the way we set up, 5 at the back at home, and obviously we got very lucky in the end to nick it. I think, you know, those 6 pointers, your Portsmouths, your Oxfords, your Leicester, West Brom, it will be a case of you don't lose, because if you lose, then yeah, we really are going to be snookered. So, and just hope we can maybe grind out a few draws and like I said, maybe get the wins in those kind of consolation games.
Is this a worse scenario that we found ourselves in 2 years ago when we just survived on the last day of the season? Do you think, the situation at that time, 10 or so games to go, were we feeling more confident than we are now?
I would say we're in a worse position now. And if you remember, a lot of the reasons why we kind of did stay up, but also left it to the final day, were because we weren't winning games, we were getting draws. And again, Eustace were making sure we didn't lose. But I'd say we're in a worse position this season because you don't have a Sammy Smodics who can win you a game. We don't have any real game winners in this squad. As Denver pointed out, for every goal Goodjohnson scores, he misses an absolute sitter, and he's done that multiple times this season. And he's very much a confidence player, as he says. So yeah, we don't have that kind of key man who'll pull you out the shit as and when you need him to.
Yeah. Jonty, any words on this? Did I get to you on this one?
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? I mean, there's no easy game in the Championship. I think the next 2 games are absolutely crucial. I prefer to, if we were going to say we're going to get 4 points out the next games, then you need to draw at home to Portsmouth and win at Oxford. Oxford is a must-win game to keep them down, way down there, sort of thing. If Oxford win that, I know that somebody in the comments previously said we've just got to hope for one worse team than ourselves. Well, I would kind of agree with that after Wednesday, the 11th of March, because if we lose that, then that brings Oxford right back in, and Oxford obviously playing on Saturday. So the next 2 games are winnable games. The next 2 games could define our season, basically, because football for me is all about pressure. And if we win the next 2 games, we could then, probably go to Millwall and get a draw. We could play with a little bit more confidence, a bit more freedom against Middlesbrough, and we might do something against them. But if we lose the next 2 games, and the spotlight is really, really on us, and I don't want to leave it to Leicester. I agree with Jacob. Leicester's a winnable game at home on the last game of the season, not if it defines as to who stays up and who goes down. So, there's no easy games. I've actually gone one a little bit further. I do a bit of research. I do take your podcast seriously, and I'm looking at like some of the other clubs that are in and around us, like Leicester City. They have Bristol City at home on Saturday. Then they have QPR at home on Saturday. Then they have Watford away. Then they've got Preston at home as well. So Leicester have 3 home games out the next 4. West Brom, they've got Southampton at home, then Hull at home. Both really, really tough games. And then Bristol City away as well. So West Brom, you'd like to think that's a really tough next 3 or 4 games as well. Portsmouth, they've got Swansea at home and Derby at home, then QPR away and Norwich. So, whilst we're looking at these and probably touching cloth, for want of a better expression, equally there'll be other podcasts happening up and down the country that they'll be worried about and having equally the same conversation. So I think the question for me is, how many points do we need out of these next 11 games? And I think, Rovers went down to League One with the highest number of points I think the Championship has ever seen to go down on. I think we ended up on 54 points.
I'll bring it up for you right here.
Oh my God, look at that! Right on. It's like we've had a chat before the game, but before the podcast. That's not 51. The case. 51. I was going to say 52. I might have edged into 54, but it's not worth thinking about. But I mean, we definitely need, I would say, at least 10 points to try and stay safe. I assume the highlights, the ones that you highlighted, are the highest points to go down on, the lowest points to go down on, right?
Correct. And the mean is 44.4 points, is what should be like mathematically over the last 10 years be enough to be safe. But
I think we're going to have another high tide this year.
Yeah, seems that way. But if we are to get 44.4, or if we win the next two, we're up to 44 points, which over the last 10 years has been more than enough to keep majority of teams safe. But again, like you said, it could be something else. But we're going to move on quickly to this.
I'm just looking. Sorry, Derek. Just before you go on to that, just go back. I'm looking at the goal difference as well. I mean, Peterborough at minus 44 compared to when Rovers went down at minus 12. You know that.
We're going to.
Yeah, I think did they have a points deduction or something?
Wigan. Yeah, probably. But positive goal difference on going down is crazy to think. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I forgot Peterborough were in this league. Completely forgot.
I didn't. I remember Sammy Schmonik scoring against us. Was it for the last days of the season?
Yeah, I remember them because one of my mates, Trev, he's a Peterborough fan, and he said I'd never ever thought I would see Peterborough at Ewood Park. So I do remember that. But I mean, you look at some of the teams in there and where they are now, sort of thing, and it's a real lottery. Some are flying high, aren't they? And others are like your Sunderlands, Ipswich are doing well. And then you look at others. I'm trying to.
Huddersfield, Blackpool.
Yeah, Huddersfield, Blackpool, Wigan drop right down. Who was the other ones that came to Ewood Park? Somewhere in the southwest, Yeovil Town.
Oh, yeah, they're non-league now.
Yeah, the non-league, and I remember them singing to us, Premier League champions, what happened to you? And they were absolutely flying. They were on a crest of a wave, weren't they, in the championship? And then, you can flip that around now. What happened to you guys? You're down in non-league. Don't get me wrong, I don't like seeing it. Put Wi-Fi code on one.
Probably about 12 years ago, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. But can I just say, I need to get this one in, but I mean, the Preston North End win, I mean, what a hell of a win that was. Yeah. I shouldn't be so happy and ecstatic as to what I was, but just I think the release on that goal, the manner it went in, it was just like all the people that I've sat around for years and years, and all we've seen is pretty much dog shit for a long time. We've seen goals against us go in at all, I mean, this season alone, Ipswich at home in the rearranged game, the 94th minute winner, Wrexham away as well. And honestly, I went absolutely mental. In fact, I'm going down to Ewood Park this Saturday against Portsmouth to pick up my limbs still that is probably still there, because honestly, they were and you know what, we shouldn't be that happy about beating Preston, but put Preston to one side. I think if anybody scored such a dramatic goal in the 94th for Rovers against any opposition, I would have just had the same mental. It added a little bit of special feeling because it was Preston, but that was one sensational feeling, and it was good to have again.
As much as I enjoyed the celebrations, I actually cut my knee doing it. Like I think I just jumped on the people in front of me, and then I caught the chair and I've cut my. I didn't even notice until I got home and I got to the toilet and I noticed I've got blood going down my leg. And at the match the next day, and everyone was like, "Well, how'd you do that in the game?" Well, no, that was celebrating a goal last night at Rovers. But for me, it was.
Did you cry?
After yeah.
He's lost him.
But anyway, for me, the most enjoyment was the walk back home. It was just coming down, getting out the stands, everyone's pumped, singing. We're singing chants down the street, and how long has it been since we've had?
That feeling. Honestly, I was there was lads coming out of Blackburn End. And honestly, if you saw them on a Friday night anywhere around Blackburn, you would probably walk the opposite way. But we were hugging, we were just celebrating together. It was like it felt like it just felt so good, and that for me, it was just pent up emotion for so many years of frustration, and I mean, there's people that sat behind me 2-3 rows back for years and years, and they've done nothing but do my head in, apart from shouting stupid stuff at the referee, and we have our differences about different players and what have you, but I was all over them. I was absolutely all over them. We were busy mates. And that feeling has been absent for such a long time, but and it brings it home, doesn't it? Again, Derby away, that goal that went in, I thought that was a great time to score just before half time, but obviously we now know what happened at the end. But Chapter 2 was shit, wasn't it? Chapter 1 was brilliant. Chapter 2 was bollocks, yeah.
Well, Chapter 3 could be amazing at Ewood against Leicester, last game of the season. So we're going to put your money where your mouth is, and you're going to put where your position, who you think's going down, etc., etc. I've already done mine. There's mine. That's what I think. I think it'll be Wednesday, Oxford, and it will be West Brom. I've got Pompey and Charlton beneath us, and Rovers in 19th. Leicester flying up there to 18th. So who wants to go first? You call it out. You could see the clubs here.
I'll go on.
Go on then, Denver. Wait. Save Rovers for last. Rovers last. So
that would be impressive, I think.
Well, not last, but you know what I mean. Like last to be picked.
Okay. I will put Oxford 23rd.
Oxford 23rd.
I'm gonna say West Brom 22nd.
Ooh, snap.
Leicester. Ooh, actually, I'm gonna put Charlton 18th.
Charlton, well, yeah, okay.
Pompey 19th. Leicester 20th. Rovers 21st.
Oh, skin of your teeth. Next.
I'll have a go, Dirk.
Go on then. Rovers last. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I'm going to put Wednesday there. I assume they're going to be last.
They will be, yes. I'll have Charlton 18th. I don't think they're going to get dragged into this.
Yeah.
I think Nathan Jones has enough. I'll keep Pompey 19th too.
Just copy mine, mate. It's fine.
I'm gonna differ with you here.
There we go.
I'm gonna put
Oxford
20th. I'm gonna put Oxford 21st.
Wow.
I don't think they're down and out yet. Personally, I don't. That, as Jonty said, we go to there and lose, which I genuinely could see happening on Wednesday. Then they've got fire in the belly. And, they have managed to kind of drag themselves back into the conversation because, as people have been saying for a while, who's the other team going to be with Wednesday and Oxford? And, yeah, it looks like Oxford are going to ruin that. And then going to go West Brom 23rd. I just think they look like a sinking ship right now, to be honest with you. I don't know much about this new manager, but they've just appointed a new manager today, haven't they?
Well, today, is it?
It's Kurt. Well, it's James Morrison, ex-player, like a Damien Johnson, like a loyal servant.
Right.
He's given the job to the end of the year, which
not great luck, is it?
That's a huge relegation, by the way, boys, isn't it? That's. Kind of like your Birmingham City getting relegated sort of levels. Like that is.
I feel like I don't feel like people would have had West Brom anywhere near the relegation zone. The prediction to start the season. I feel like Birmingham. They were at that point. They were flirting with there, weren't they? They were in that mid-table bottom half. But I think West Brom people have had top half. Ryan Mason charged, all buoyant with him there after the Tottenham stuff. So it'd be quite a shock, I think.
And then you're left with one of the old former Premier League team winners, either Leicester.
Yeah, and just to say on West Brom, you just got to think as well how much depth their squad has compared to us. I think they've got like the likes of John Swift and Red Wallace off the bench and things like that. Just obscene. Some of the best players that we've seen in recent years in Championship, and it's looking like they could be League One players next season. I'm going to go Leicester 22nd. Again, I just think downward spiral. And when you kind of get into that rut, it's hard to get out of. And obviously, and the points deduction obviously hasn't helped. And there just seems to be a real toxic kind of feeling around that club right now. Similarly, where we found ourselves 10 years ago. But in regards to us, I think O'Neill, I think we'll have enough, just because, like I've been crying out for, he's playing pragmatic football. I think we'll see, as we did kind of under Eustace, dogged games where we'll fight our heart out for a point, and we might scrape a win or two, and we'll just do enough to stay up. And it genuinely could come down to beating Leicester on the final day. But I thought, as I was saying before, you just don't have that Sam Smodics who, we went to Leeds away and we went to Leicester away, and we didn't think we had a cat in hell chance.
Oh, you're making me nervous. Mate, I'm sat here listening to you, even before you went on to Smodics, and my stomach's doing a 360, so you're making it worse for me.
But that's the thing,
aren't you, mate?
I remember watching that Smodics game with Dirk on the watch on, and we went into that game thinking, oh, this is going to be a therapy session. We're going to get tonked today. And we sat back. We were brilliant defensively, and that goal from Smodics was sublime. And then obviously the 2 against Leicester. Wow, what a feeling being in the stands, being there that day. Probably my best Rovers memories, depressing as that is. But we don't have that man. But I just think with the way Leicester and West Brom just look like sinking ships right now without a captain, I think we'll just have enough, because I think we've got a real captain at the helm in O'Neill.
And then Jonty, now you've got to. Are you gonna keep us up, or are you gonna send us down? That's
after hearing what he just said. If he sends us down, I'll be shocked. But
yeah, wow.
Rovers 24th. Yeah. Obviously Wednesday put them at the bottom. Unfortunately, God bless them. I think it is going to be Oxford. I mean, we could do this next week and it could be completely different. But hang on, almost this time next week, isn't it? Because we'll be just into the second half now. But Oxford. I do think it's going to be another big club that drops, the Sheffield Wednesday being one. No disrespect to Oxford. It's just between West Brom and Leicester. Is it going to work out with Leicester new manager bounce? Yeah, I don't know. It's an absolute lottery, isn't it? There's part of me that thinks Charlton, because they've only won 1 in the last 6 games as well. So, is everyone just going to pick up a bit of form and Charlton suffer? They came up last season. They've done really, really well, to be fair. I think most Charlton fans will probably take this position at this time of the season. Okay, I need to make a decision. I'm going to say Leicester for the same reasons that Jacob gave, which is it's a little bit toxic at Leicester. Maybe they need to go down for a bit of a reset. So,
last year as well.
Yeah. Say again.
Is that what Leicester said last year from the Premier League? They went,
next
year we should go down and have a reset. And now
and Luton, God bless them. Done fantastically well for so many seasons, and then it's gone toxic at Luton. So I'm then going to say in 21st, it's going to be Charlton. I'm going to stick with what I said, that Charlton might drop off. Nathan Jones, great manager, but it's a squad that good. I don't know. And then I'm going to say Portsmouth and Blackburn.
Wow. You think West Brom are going to clear it?
I think a new manager will just, Yeah.
They've got caretaker at the minute, you said.
It's the caretaker that's been...
caretaker manager. If it's like...
End of the season.
Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't tell me with the time.
But you know what? Every prediction that I've done, maybe I should have put Rovers in the bottom 3, because every time I think optimistically about Rovers, it's the polar opposite. So actually, change Leicester and Blackburn for me, please, mate, and then I'm
change what psychology. Can I just say, just a quick one? You all go on about me sitting on the fence, but look who's got us the lowest there. I just thought I'd point that out there.
Even below me, Denver, and I missed the negative.
Exactly.
Get a screenshot of that. Get it on Twitter.
Hang on. Before you get any screenshot bollocks, we need to put names above each thing because in 2 months' time we're going to be saying, because whoever ends up in the right, I'll be like, yeah, that was mine. I'll claim that.
Yeah, it's very true. I think it's a fair point Jonty mentions, by the way, about Luton and Leicester getting to, obviously with Leicester winning the bloody thing, but getting to the dizzy ice of the Premier League, and then when it starts to fall off and you get relegated, and as we saw obviously with us, and that toxic atmosphere just builds, the kind of damage it can do to a club. And to have two clubs potentially, if Leicester goes down, two clubs do double relegations, Premier League then Championship in back-to-back years is pretty mad, isn't it, really?
Yeah, completely mental. I'll tell you what has dropped off. Speaking of dropping off, where's Katie? Where's Wi-Fi code and all this? Steve's a little bit
late.
I'll tell you what, Wi-Fi code, that's stuck, hasn't it? That name. Where's Jack Vale these days? That's a good point, actually. Where is Jack Vale? In Port Vale?
Katie said Northampton Town.
Yeah.
Oh,
a sidebar for these relegation people. Portsmouth and Charlton yet to change their manager. Their other guys have all changed their manager, and wouldn't put it past those other lot to do the same. I'm just working on the names here. I'm missing John T. Me. Getting there. We're getting there.
The wrong ones now, aren't they? They're all going to be.
No. It'll be all right. I'm just doing it on the fly.
Steve made me laugh before John T said the matron will be round with your pills later.
All that.
Say that again. Sorry, I missed that.
I said Steve made me laugh before he said the matron will be round with your pills later.
Yeah, do you know what? I read that as Morton. So I was thinking Tyler Morton. You better not unlock him out. Yeah, I know the matron. I know he hates me. That just naive Steve, doesn't he?
But
I do get, I do some vlogs. I do it from the goodness of my heart, but I do get some shit on there to the point where I just say, really, I'm just an innocent guy that just enjoys football, and just get a load of shit. It is what it is. But honestly,
they don't mean it.
Leave him alone, guys. Leave him alone. Leave me alone.
There's violins. Anyone else in the violins?
Well, hang on, keep quiet. That's the most sense you spoke all night. I'm only joking, Dem. No, I'm not bothered. It's we like a bit of balance, don't we? Of course.
So before we put this completely to bed, can I get your bold predictions for these two? How many points are we getting out of these two vital games?
4.
4 for John T.
1.
I don't know which way it's going to be, but I think 4. I think we might draw against Portsmouth and get a win at Oxford, or is that my heart telling my head and vice versa?
When was the last time we won at Oxford, by the way? Was it in the? Was it the 2016 FA Cup run where Tony Watt scored? I think that's the last time we won there.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Grove last game.
No, I'm going free, Dirk. Denver's being really negative tonight, isn't he? He's bringing a real downer. Coming here, he comes back and just brings his negative aura. No, I'm going free, Dirk.
What happens in
Amsterdam stays in Amsterdam.
Hey, mate, puts negativity in your mind, and yeah, we're seeing that you've had too much. I'm telling you, Dad.
No, I think he's on a come down, isn't he, Jonty? I think we'll beat Pompey at home, but yeah, I just think Oxford away. I think they're going to be well up for it, and like Jonty rightly pointed out, they win that and the season's back on, isn't it? They lose that, they're done for probably. So huge game for them.
Yeah, I think
Hang on, naive Steve. We can't just whiz past these comments. Naive Steve, look at this. What a guy. They turned off the lights in my padded cell. So, I mean, he's taking the piss out of himself. Fair play to it. I love you. I love John C, really. I always appreciate his match day vlogs. Although, yeah, your comments probably, don't suggest that. But anyway, I'm not bothered. Also getting Rovers winning. Oh, naive Steve. Can we invite him on? Just come on, naive Steve. Just
he's a long time viewer. A long time viewer.
I think we should just give Jonty and Steve a room, and let them talk their differences out.
A padded room. Yeah,
padded room. We should video the whole thing, and it'd be great content for the channel.
I think it would. You know what? Some of the comments in here, I'd love to see some of these people on here. So I really would. Just no. I'm not being facetious or anything like that. Just have a chat with them. Just it's different opinions. I mean, Jacob said something way back when. Whose phone's that? Oh my God, how unprofessional.
Sorry,
Jacob said something to me that made me change my whole perspective of how we view Blackburn Rovers. And I'm 48. I know people take the piss in the comments saying, "Yeah, good one, John C. Very funny. Go on, you're 60-year-old when you've retired and all that." I am genuinely 48. I'm 49 in literally days. This time next week.
50,
I'm 49.
50
yeah. All right, Dirk. All right, chill out. So yeah, I'm nearly 49, but I've seen all the good stuff with Rovers. I've seen everything that I would ever want to see. If I die tomorrow, I'm going to die still a happy man because of all the good stuff I've seen with Rovers. Don't get me wrong, last 15 have been a tough gig, but equally, Jacob, he's got the history of it. He's got his family that have sort of inserted Blackburn Rovers into him, the Blackburn Rovers chip into him, and he's never seen the good stuff, sort of thing. So it's painful, and I'm trying to immerse myself. Is when I was, an 11, 12-year-old guy going down to Rovers and seeing 15 years of shit. I can't imagine it. And fair play to all the younger guys, that are in the 20s and even mid 20s now that have seen nothing but shit for the hometown team, sort of thing. And that changed my perspective of how I view Rovers, how I listen to sort of other people's opinions, sort of thing. So anyway, I'm getting all sentimental, aren't I? Move on, Dirk.
Can we wrap that up? How many points did everybody say? I don't know. Denver, you didn't say yours?
I said one. Yeah, that's why Jacob was like, "Oh my God, Mr. Negative in Amsterdam, blah 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 blah." But there you go.
Well, if we don't win any of these games, we are, I think, well and truly in the shit, and then we could probably start to plan for next season. But before we, because I haven't got much left on my agenda, but before we open up the floodgates, what's your take on this? The proposal to open up the playoffs from 6 to 8 clubs.
Heard about it a couple of weeks ago.
The vote is on Thursday. They're going to announce, hopefully maybe get the results Thursday as well. But D-Day for Thursday. Are you for or against it? 8 clubs in the playoffs. Top eight.
Does everyone kind of know about this? Because I can kind of explain it if not.
No. It's anything I said now will be a knee-jerk reaction. So over to you, Jacob.
So I watched this on TalkSport a couple of weeks ago. Simon Jordan and were talking about it. So basically, they're looking to expand the playoffs from obviously 3rd to 6th place to 3rd to 8th place. And the way it would work would be they'd have kind of a quarters stage where 5th would play 8th, 6th would play 7th, but it would only be one game where 5th would be at home and 6th would be at home. And then whoever won those games, so out of the 5th playing 8th or whatever, I don't know if they'd go play 3rd or whatever.
Won the games, yeah.
Yeah, so then 3rd would either play 5th or 8th, and then that'd be over 2 legs still, and then 4th would then play 6th or 7th, and that would be over the 2 legs, and then you'd still have the final. So it's the Preston chairman or someone who's heavily been pushing for this. It's a vote that goes to the 72 EFL clubs, and the way he's kind of selling it is it's only a positive because it's more TV money, brings more eyes on the product. There's more games at the end of the season, which mean more because, as I was saying before, you get to 5, 6, 7 games left. And for some teams, they've genuinely got nothing to play for at this point. So adds a bit more jeopardy. And to be honest, if you want my opinion, I'm all for it because how many fucking seasons have we had recently where if we could have finished when we finished 7th or 8th and bottled the bloody playoffs, which we're brilliant at doing, we would have actually made it and had a chance at, finally getting promoted. So I'm for it, to be fair. I think it adds a bit more jeopardy, more games to play for, more money in the league, which is good because there's becoming a bigger disparity between the Premier League teams coming down and the teams like ourselves who've been stuck here for years. So, yeah, I'm all for it personally.
I want to just quickly jump in and say the way you described it definitely didn't help anyone understand. But thankfully, I understood what the whole process of everything, and I'm for it. Just again, it closes the gap of just the teams not playing for anything. It's the equivalent of the Premier League introducing the Europa League and expanding the Champions League, adding the Europa League, and then adding the Europa Conference League, just so those teams have got that something to play for instead of just being in the middle of the pack. Other than of course the investment depending on where you finish in the league. But I definitely prefer it. Maybe not for the same reasons, Blackburn finished 7th and 8th, so it might maybe get a chance because knowing us, we will finish outside of 8th now every season. We'll finish 9th now just because that's just how we do things. We never finish in those playoffs, even if we do expand them. But I definitely think it's a better, you could be 13th and within a few points of 8th and you really want to go for it, and then vice versa, you could be just a little bit below that and then you're flirting relegation. It just creates a little bit more for the league. And I don't know how they're going to plan all those games, but I understand how I think I would have just left 2nd and 3rd to potentially have had like a playoff and then the rest of them, and then whoever's the best at the bottom bunch on the top, similar to how the relegate. I'm not saying that is how I want relegation to be, but like within the playoff system, the top bunch versus the bottom bunch, kind of like in the Bundesliga with the top of the division below and the bottom that will play, but in the playoffs, not as in
Scotland too, isn't it?
Yeah,
so with getting relegated.
So yeah, I think that would create just a bit more something different, and just gives everyone else a little bit of a chance. And maybe it helps the other teams who. The team's a bit more investment if they sneak in 8th, but it's not really a big issue at the minute, the championship. So I'm for it.
I'm not. I'm going to go against grain. I'm going to go against grain. I mean, I've not given this much thought. I've listened to you guys. I didn't know, genuinely, on my mother's life, I didn't know anything at all about this. So it is a bit of a knee jerk. I don't normally make quick decisions, as my wife will tell you, but I'm a bit of a reflexer and a thinker, but no, I disagree with it. I think instantly that came into my mind, it's some money making, and paying some of the away day prices that I've paid this season, they've been nothing short of offensive. Late £30 for tickets. QPR I think was 38, Ipswich away was 39, Pompey was up there as well. I think it just screams money. And I mean, going up to the Premier League, I mean, the 3 teams that are about to come down, they all want to exit the Premier League. They hate it. They think it's corrupt. They hate VAR and things like that. And I'm sure we could have a discussion about VAR, because I think the bigger topic this week has been about VAR coming into the Championship. So maybe we want to spend a few more minutes on that. But I mean, if you look at the Championship now, if you press freeze on the Championship now, there's 10 points between QPR in 15th place on 47 points. And Wrexham in the final playoff place on 57 points. So I'm not quite subscribing to this. There's nothing to play for. Even Ipswich on 63 points. There's 11 games left. That's 33 points left up for grabs. A lot can still happen. You look at the form in the Championship. So for me, no, I quite like it's too automatic and then play off the 4. And also what you've got to remember is playoffs. Form goes out the window. Really, to be fair, I mean, you look at the last few seasons, probably last season being an exception, but it's very rare that the team that finishes third actually goes up in the playoff final. So I'm happy. I think it's, it is what it is. We know what it is from the start of the season. We know that the first two are automatically promoted. The next one will enter into a playoffs, and the bottom three, the shit three, will go down. And then there's all that middle bunch. And it's a tight league. So me personally, like I say, given what I've spent following Rovers at home and away this season, I don't think I would want to be entered into it. And I think, Denver, you made the point. If that's the case, then we'll probably finish ninth anyway. So it's probably, strip the emotion out of it from a Blackburn Rovers point of view and just work off facts. I think the facts at the minute are pretty strong that, anybody, I'm even looking down further than Swan, Norwich, there's a bit of a gap between Norwich. I mean, you've got basically from 18th down to 24th, and you could argue any of those 7 could go into a relegation battle. And then Norwich, that are 4 points above them, actually, you know what? There's no reason why they couldn't make up 13 points and get up to where Wrexham are. I know there's a lot to change. I know a lot of teams will have to play each other. But if somebody went on a bit of a 6-7 game run, that'll momentum.
I think to John's point, there's a price cap in the Premier League, isn't there, for away games? I'm pretty sure. Is it like £20 or something like that? I can't remember.
And it should be like that in the Championship, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's been eye-watering.
Yeah, and I think this has definitely got money reasons behind it. But I personally think with the amount of teams that are coming down now, and it's not really played out like this season, to be fair, but in seasons gone by, Burnley have gone down, then gone back up, Leicester did it. There's becoming less and less places for the teams who have been down in the Championship for a while to have a crack at going for playoffs, because you're getting the same teams coming down and then going straight back up, either through the playoffs or through the automatics. So I wouldn't mind it being opened up. And then, like Jonty rightly says, anything can happen in the playoff games. So a team like us squeezing in there could just be what we needed one year. And then we finally get promoted, and then these bloody owners piss off. But at the minute, under its current guys, we always just miss out because we just don't have enough.
I think to be fair to Naive Steve, the most sensible comment I've seen on this podcast ever is it's the one that says, I think the parachute payment should be stopped from the Premier League. That for me is just, I still to this day can't get my head around it. So I don't know of any other industry where if you fail, you are then financially rewarded for the next 3 years. How does that work? What a load of bollocks that is. So this is a Premier League club that was a Premier League last season coming into a less of a league. I'll get slated for that, but the reality is it's less of a league. So they've got better players and they'll be offloading a load of players, still buying some of the best players, and yet still financially rewarded. I can't get my head around that. And in no other industry does a performance that fails so miserably end up with actually success, and being financially rewarded. I mean, the counter argument to that is, well, what's happened to Luton? Well, again, I put that down to the owners, where they're probably pocketing a lot of that money and not investing it back into the club. Now, that kind of sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it? With somebody else that we know and we love, sort of thing, that where they're not reinvesting. But I completely, if I could change anything about football at this moment in time, it'd be stopping the parachute payments. Because talk about an uneven playing surface, that is it.
I think the real argument to that is, look at Sunderland back in 2016 or whatnot, when they got relegated and they couldn't offload someone like Jack Rodwell because he was on a massive 40 grand a week contract, and he knew if he left, he wasn't going to get that money elsewhere. So it's there as a safeguard, isn't it? So clubs don't go bust, basically. But I do agree that in 99% of cases, it is just benefiting a team for failure. But it's the excuse is it's a safeguard.
Yeah, Yeah. Can we just talk VAR for a minute? I mean, as a round robin, Denver, VAR in the championship, yes or no? Just a very, very straightforward answer, yes or no. I don't want justification, just a yes or a no.
That's not fair, John T.
No.
As in its current state, no.
Okay.
That's my answer. It can definitely be adapted. But
Right. Okay. We'll come back to that in a second. Dirk, I'm sabotaging your podcast. For that, I apologise.
It's good. I'm going yes. Bring it on.
Jacob, yes or no?
Yes, I want it, yes.
The referees are shambles.
Dirky.
Referees are a shambles. Yes, bring on the VAR. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. So Denver got back to you. You caveated it.
Yeah.
What's your caveat?
So for me, I can't believe some form of this hasn't already happened already. But how I would change VAR for the better, I would suggest anyway, is instead of it being this ominous presence that's illuming the game the whole time and just jumps in when it feels necessary, I think like you do in cricket, like you do in tennis, there should be an appeal system. I don't know how much you guys know about this. So each team has an appeal system. The game's reffed as normal. So the referee has no influence whatsoever. It's just a game that's reffed. If an incident happens, so if let's say there's a penalty incident, and it's and then the referee, let's say, decides it's not a penalty, and you're adamant it is a penalty, you as the captain or the manager can decide, look, no, we want this reviewed. If it's correct, you get the penalty. If it's incorrect, you lose that appeal. You have 3 appeals a game. That's it. The rest of the time, the game's played as normal. I can't see why nothing like this has ever been implemented in the game, because they do it in cricket, they do it in tennis, they do it in load of all these other sports. I'm looking at it going, right, so why don't so the game's reffed as standard as normal until one of the teams decides to appeal the decision.
I know, but the appeal can then work into the game management of when one team's on the ascendancy, when they're in the flow, when they've got and all of that stuff. So I'm not a big fan of that. I think I'm agreeable because the championship referees for me have far too inconsistent, to the point where in the first half I actually called out that I thought the referee was having a good game.
He was.
I don't know who came out in the second half, because the referee just let a lot of stuff go, but it was the same for each team, right? The second half, it's like his brother came out that was just whistle happy and card happy, because that was not the same referee in the first half, because somebody went past each other, rubbed each other's shoulders in the second, and it was a yellow card and a free kick, and that doesn't. So, and we've seen far too much stuff has gone against us. So VAR is dead simple for me. It's really, really simple. VAR have 30 seconds maximum, and they have 3 opportunities to review. They can either see the same angle again, and that'll count as 1, but three reviews. And it's got to be made within 30 seconds. If a decision isn't made in that time, then the on-field stands, okay? Because all of this, I mean, Burnley, as much as we hate Burnley, I actually feel a bit for them. Oof. Somebody's arm was offside on Saturday against Brentford. You can't score with your arm. You can't score with your arm, so how can that be offside, right? So that's bollocks, number 1. Ashley Barnes, I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer chap. So I'm chuffed that it happened to Ashley Barnes. But in terms of Burnley, I can't help but feel for them. And, there's a part of me that will be gutted if we went up into the Premier League, because I think we'd have the same look as Burnley, where, the VAR will go to decision and it'll just say, big club awarded the right decision. That's what should be on the screen, sort of thing. So it's Ashley Barnes had no control. Within a 10th of a second, the ball has left the Burnley player's head to hit Ashley Barnes' arm. Yes, it fell nicely for him, and yes, he scored a great goal from it, to be fair. It was disallowed. I just disagree with it. And the fact that they took 4 or 5 minutes to make that decision is bollocks. They've got 30 seconds. You have 3 angles, whichever angle you want, and that's it. If they can't make a decision, you go with the on-field play. Dead simple, dead straightforward. We move on.
My question on that, though, is going back to what I said regarding, my so Ashley Barnes scores the goal. They're all celebrating. then that isn't that the same out because that's the on-field decision that it was a goal.
No, it's 30 seconds. There's 30 seconds, and the difference is they've scored the goal then, so that's when it goes to VAR just for a quick check and a quick review.
Yeah, so let's say from my example,
if for your examples,
the other team would have to have appealed, right?
I know, but that could be a tackle in their own half that breaks the momentum up for the other team.
Yeah, but you've only got 3. That's why I said you'll only have 3. You can't keep just appealing for everything.
Well, I know, but if it's 0-0 up until 75 minutes, and you just save your 3 appeals until the 7. It's too tactical. It's too bollocks for me. It's just if VAR needs to get involved, and VAR, it's classic example of this is Smorix, and I called it out way right at the start of this podcast. I don't think the referee saw it. He was looking the other way. I don't think the linesman saw it. I think it was the 4th official on his headset that's probably said to the referee, "Yeah, free kick Rovers." I would love to tune in to what the 4th official says to even in the Championship, because I'm convinced to this day that the referee and the linesman is looking elsewhere, but they'll get a call from somewhere up in the gods that will say free kick Rovers, and he'll blow for it, because I'd love to see that. And if you look at all the replays from every single highlights of Rovers, I've not seen the foul from Travis on Ohashi. Did I say Smorix before? If I did, forgive me. It was Travis on Ohashi that led to it, and I've not seen one replay of that. And I think all the cameras have missed it because it was completely off the ball. The referee's not seen it, the linesman's not seen it, and it's stuff like that probably needs to be looked at by VAR. So I would agree with it based on, I don't think it should be stripped from the Premier League because the standard of refereeing and the way that some players play the game nowadays. But I do believe that the Championship needs it. But maybe we trial 30 seconds and a maximum of 3 angles. And if you can't make a decision, you stick with the on-field, because all this 4 or 5 minutes is absolute bollocks.
Anyway, what was the question you asked, Dirk?
I can't remember.
Whether it should come in, I think yes, just simply because of how poor the standard of refereeing has been in this league.
Agreed.
As long as I've known it, is absolutely woeful. The name Gavin Ward still haunts me to this day. Every time he comes to Ewood,
that's Uncle Gavin Ward to you.
Yeah, it must be. But yeah, honestly, just absolutely woeful. And I don't have much sympathy for Valérien Ismaël, but he got bent over a lot of times this season with huge decisions. And when I went to that fans forum, Rudy Gestede said they went to the head of refereeing or whatever, and they said in retrospect, Rovers probably should have had 12 more points than we do this season because of officials going against us on such big decisions, and which is just completely mental that it can change a season that big. Yeah. And also, the Championship is becoming more and more popular, more and more games televised. Sky basically televised pretty much 75% of the games now. There's more people watching it all over the world. It's getting to the point now where we need VAR for the integrity of this league, and the prize of the Premier League is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's that many teams who are coming down now. There's that many teams who are coming down now from the Premier League who already have this technology installed in their ground anyway. It just makes sense to go with it, in my opinion. You'd probably only need to install it in about half of the Championship grounds. And yes, it's not perfect, but... And yes, it'll probably feel shit when, we score a goal and it gets disallowed or whatever. But as long as the right decision's been taken, then, my mind goes back to, I think I've only watched us play with VAR in one game, and that was Sheffield United in the FA Cup quarter-final. And we wouldn't have got that Brereton Diaz penalty if it weren't for VAR, and I fucking loved it. I fucking loved that it got called for handball, and we got the penalty. So it swings and roundabouts, but it swings and roundabouts for these referees. You get either a really piss poor referee who goes in your favour one game, or you get a really piss poor referee who's against you all game. So it swings and roundabouts, and at least with VAR, you're getting the right decision.
nearly all the
Well,
time.
I was going to say
Sometimes.
mostly, yeah, most.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Did
Dad,
I
you were
drop out
trying
then?
to come in. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just, if we accept that 12 more points should have been given to Rovers under Big Val, you then add on the Ipswich game, you then add on the Sheffield Wednesday game. Both games we were winning up until then. That's 18 more points. That will put us just outside the playoffs. So on referees and our shit pitch alone, that puts us outside the playoffs, which is equally the same as last season. So I do feel a little bit for Big Val. It didn't end well, and it was probably the right thing for him to go at the time. I think it got to the point where he'd lost the dressing room, but equally, there are some sort of outside factors which have led to that. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's what all I've got. What has anyone else got on their chests?
I just wanted to sing.
Well, I want to know what went on in Amsterdam. That's what I want to know.
Oh God, that is a story for another podcast, I think.
Late night podcast.
I'll just quickly say the fans forum minutes got released. Don't know if you saw that.
I did.
But yeah, again, some blatant omissions. That moving forwards, yeah. But yeah, some blatant omissions. Most notably, I put a tweet out, but most notably the fact that my question to Gestead and Sahale about the Ainsley Pears prank call wasn't in the minutes at all, and it's just unacceptable to blatantly just omit stuff from the minutes. So just more credence to the fact, despite a very vocal minority disagreeing with me coming on this pod and being completely transparent from my memory of what happened, it was the right thing to do so people know what was said. And there was also Elliot Jackson, who's the Manchester Telegraph reporter. Because of the way the minutes have been worded, it's been completely misstrued. That it seemed like Adam Owen wanted to keep Val, wanted to sack Val way before they did, which just wasn't the case. So again, it's just, like I said, it gives more credence to the fact that podcast we did was the right thing to do, and to be open and transparent with the Rovers fans, which is what the club should be doing, but they're leaving it on channels like us to do that, Dirk.
Yeah. Big shout out for you for coming on and talking all about that, because it did get a lot of eyes on it, and awareness was brought to some of the failings that Rovers are doing at the moment. So kudos for you to step forward, and yes, ultimately costing you a spot on that fans forum, but they probably wouldn't meet anyway for the next I don't know how many months. So what was that, Denver?
I think he might be back on it.
You never know. Well, maybe they'll restructure it or something.
I think for me, it's really disappointing that they don't have people like Jacob allowed to that kind of fans forum, because at the end of the day, it's a consortium. You should hear all different points of view, different points of opinion. And if Jacob isn't a threat, invite him along. Bring him on. It should be the word from Rovers. But the fact that they're banning people like that would suggest that there's something to hide, and that for me is pretty poor. You Glenn Mullins, and
really, isn't
it? Your other man. If there's nothing to fear by having a difference of opinion, then bring him on. Do you know what I mean? It's just I'm doing a little bit of digging on different things at Blackburn Rovers, and I'm not to drag the shit out, but I'm just looking at different angles now, shall we say. I'm looking at different angles, stuff that's in the public domain, but I'm now comparing that with other clubs as well, just to see how badly or potentially how badly run we are. Because, enough's enough. Like I said to you before, I think 99.9% of the fan base would much prefer to see the Venky's go. Now, it all depends upon how vocal you want to be about that. I will always support the lads on the pitch, so you'll never hear me shouting Venky's out actually at Ewood Park, but organise something for 5:10 on a Saturday after we've just played at home on a 3:00 kickoff. Yeah, absolutely, because I'm sick to the back teeth. I'm sick and tired of paying my hard-earned money to go down all over the country watch the boys, for us to just keep selling our best players and just not reinvesting in the club. I'm bored of it, sick of it. Do you know what I mean? We're not, we're not expecting massive things at Blackburn Rovers sort of thing. We're not going to be back up into the dizzy heights of where Jack Walker, God bless his soul, took us. But we've got the history, we've got the heritage enough to be in the big English Premier League. And the fact that they're just constantly asset stripping us is unacceptable, and it's been going on far too long now. They've had the little romance with an English football club. Now it's time to go. Simples.
Yeah, and our 150th anniversary year.
Well, just I go back to Naive Steve, one of his comments, just saying,
Naive Steve.
Well, I know, I love that guy now. We're busy mates with him, but he called something out before about it would just be typical that I can't remember, I can't even find the comment now, but something about it would just be typical that Rovers go down on the Ipswich result. Yeah. And on the back of that was in our 150th year. I did actually think that when that got rained off, I was actually thinking, this could be us doomed on this result. Wouldn't it be ironic that this is the result that sends us down? If we go down by more than 2 points, then it's because of either Ipswich or you could argue Sheffield Wednesday, but I'll personally put my finger at the...
We got the result against Wednesday, and we got it in the end.
We got it in the end, yeah, I know, but,
the Ipswich one, we did drop points.
The Ipswich, so, is that going to come back and bite us royally on our arse? Who knows?
Anyway, anything else before we shut up shop here? I know, it's big game Saturday. Win that, and maybe our tails can come up. And we.
Well, I'm in the process of. I'm not going Oxford away, unfortunately. Again, work commitments. Midweek game I'm struggling with at the minute because my area I mainly cover off the North and North Midlands, so I can't make it to Oxford. But I am going to Millwall, stupidly again. I like that club. I do like that club. I like Millwall, and I'm chuffed to bits that they're doing well. To be fair, I know not many people will say that, but they last time we went to Millwall, I think they just literally got, is it Alex Neil? They'd literally just got him, and there was a bit of, I think on the whole they were optimistic. But there was also a little bit of skepticism because we were in a bit of a dangerous place there. And now look at them; they're absolutely flying. They've got 62 points. Arguably, are they going to upset the apple cart? Coventry, they picked up a little bit of form just when required. Middlesbrough, a little bit rocky. Ipswich seem to be, going in the right direction. But Millwall, I'll tell you what, they could be ones to watch. They could sneak into automatics and, fair play. So that is going to be one hell of a test. That'll I'm not expecting anything from there. But again, that's your typical Blackburn Rovers where we don't maybe get 2 points out of our next 2 games against Oxford and Portsmouth, but then go and do something stupid like beat Millwall or get a draw. That'd just be so Blackburn Rovers, wouldn't it? But anyway, that's all from me. I've
season defining next 8 days. Is that 8 days? Humongous.
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say so. I think it will give us a very, very good indication as to how we're going to sleep at night. This time next Wednesday, in fact, exactly this time next Wednesday, we will know what, we're not just buckling the seatbelts, we're now in the brace position. That's the difference.
And who is going to be the guys that no Tronstad, no Lewis Miller? Who's going to be the guys that are going to pull us out of this shit if we're going to do it?
Henriksen. I'm calling it now.
Deneve.
I honestly don't know where he is. Where is he? Because he's not been on the bench. I don't know where the hell he is.
It's just
hopefully back in Scandinavia, Dirk.
Whoa.
Yeah, but what about?
I'm not one to bash too many of our players who are still at Rovers. Henriksen, even though he's just so poor, just ultimately I want them to do really well. I want him to come back and then score 15 goals because I want us to be safe at the end of the day. But yeah, it's tough, innit? I can't see anyone grounded by the scruff of the neck, and even Todd when he comes back, I can't see it. He might create a bit of something, but like even Baraji, Ohashi, he can be susceptible to just going missing in games. So I don't know. I really don't know. But on the point of like going away, I will be. Well, I say this very loosely because depending how the results are going, I am looking to be at Southampton away, which is the second to last game of the season. So this could be quite interesting. So we shall see. But I've got friends down there, so I was going to say I'll go and see him and kill two birds with one stone and go watch the game. So I'll try and get to as many away days as I can this season. The ones that are left. I won't be going to Millwall. I won't be going to Oxford. How many more away games are there? I don't even know. I think now. I will be at Southampton.
Bromley away next year, League One.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I don't even want to think about
it. Honestly, I think to Jonty's point, it would be very Rovers to go do that. We've got quite a good record at the Den recently, and Middlesbrough, I always say it, we're very much their bogey team. So it genuinely wouldn't shock me. We get 0 points from these next two because, like I said, we never turn up against the teams we need to beat. Unless it's, Sheffield Wednesday were just absolute dog shit and we'd managed to scrape by them. We were very lucky, extremely lucky, but Jorgensen were there on the post. But it genuinely wouldn't surprise me. We got to Millwall and beat them, or we beat Middlesbrough at home. Just, when kind of the pressure's off and no one expects anything, we do turn up sometimes. So it wouldn't shock me. Don't hold me to that. It's not going to happen. But it's definitely happened before. We've kind of had that where it looks like we're all down and out, and then we'll pull a performance out. But in terms of who's going to step up, Dirk, I think as we saw early in the season, for Johnson, as I mentioned, we're fluffing his lines, having a really bad spell of it, and then he hit one in. I think he even come off someone's backside and went in. And that's just what he needed to give him that spark. We need to get that good Johnson back. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll score a goal against Pompey or Oxford, and that'll just give him the confidence that he needs to play like he did at Leicester away, where he was absolutely unbelievable. And Albiasu needs to really step up because he was definitely player of the season before he went to AFCON. And from what I've seen, I think he's been quite poor.
Yeah,
he's been quite poor since he's come back.
Derby, who's really, really poor, and sometimes for me, if he has a good game, Rovers play well. He's a really key member. I never thought I'd say, by losing Callum Britton, I thought when we lost him, I thought there's not a cat and nails chance we'll get anybody that even comes close to, that right position. But Alabuso is absolutely, for me, in my opinion, he's better than Britton. But he does have his off games, and Derby, unfortunately, was one of them. Don't get me wrong, he didn't do anything majorly wrong, in my opinion, but he just wasn't his usual effective self. My biggest issue with Rovers at the minute is we look too vulnerable in right in the centre of midfield. We're playing the same under Big Val, under Michael O'Neill. We're playing the same in terms of when we're in possession, we're playing 3 at the back and then wide players. And when we've not got the ball, we're playing 5 at the back. And there's a massive void in midfield. We're overrunning midfield. And I think we're almost the easiest team to play against at the minute, is because everything just, the opposition plays a lot more narrow. They play more through midfield because we're stretched, we're wide. For me, if I was a manager now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that I'm ever going to be the Blackburn Rovers manager just before some dickhead puts anything in comments.
Can we clip that for when Jonty's the manager? It's like Donald Trump, wasn't it, when he said he was never be president, and then he,
Yeah. Well, you never know. But I do have faith in the back three. I think they're a solid back three: Carter, McLaughlin, Cashin, and obviously in the absence of Carter, then I thought Pratty. I thought he was. He did really well when he had to fill in earlier on in the season. So have 3 solid defenders and pack the midfield out with your people like your Forshaws, your Barrages, your Taylor Gardner Hickmans, and Montgomery's, just literally have it packed out in midfield. Forget the wide side, forget trying to cross it in all the time, and just be more direct. Play the opposition almost at their own game, because they're playing us at our own game where they know we're going to go wide, so then they pack the midfield in. So we need to switch that mentality. And at the minute, it feels like sometimes when we line up, we're playing with almost seven defending players. You look at the Derby lineup, we've got Carter, McLaughlin, Cashin, defenders, Ribeiro and Alibuso, defenders, and then you've got Forshaw sitting deep as well. So, and Baraji, again, he does wander up, but there's just a big void in the centre of midfield for me, and that for me is where the problem is. I'm no football coach. I've got no coaching badges, but it's just time and time again. There's a big void in midfield, and testament to that. And this is the last thing I'll say. Then I will shut up. Right? Is
so you weren't going to ramble tonight.
I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to ramble.
No rants,
but sometimes I count the opposition players. I literally sit there, either away games. I don't sit at away games. I stand at away games, or I sit at home games, and I literally count how many opposition players there are, because sometimes it feels like we're outnumbered. It feels like, have they got 12 men on this pitch because we're a man short here? Do you know what I mean? And that shouldn't happen. And far too many times, especially this season, I've been counting how many players the opposition have got and thinking, oh shit, yeah, they have actually got it. It is 11 versus 11, because I would have put my mortgage on that it's 12 versus 11. Anyway,
that's just when Henriksen was starting, John T. It felt like one less man when he was starting Henriksen.
On the no coaches comment, I think I will step up and raise my hand and actually agree with John T in the essence that not necessarily. Well, John T, I think we agree more than some of the people.
We do.
But on regards to the overload in midfield, for sure, it's of course. We'll tuck in, and what it is basically the boys have been told, when we want to push the play out wide. So, for example, if they're coming to attack us, we don't want them coming through the middle. We want to either force them to the left or force them to the right. And what will happen is, when we force them to one side of the pitch, because instead of having you've got two midfielders in the center, right? So what will happen is the center midfielder will come over you'd cut off. Instead of marking a play, you'll cut off the passing lanes, right? So trying to stop them coming in through, and then they'll have a spare play on the far side. And the idea is that if the passes come through, they'll try and win the ball. But the issue is when that ball goes over to the other side and gets there. It's fine if it doesn't. We do quite well when we keep them quite penned in and we win the 50-50 there. But when the ball does switch, all that midfielder has to come all the way over, and it's a lot of running. And the issue is when they do that on the counter attack, that's when they get to the edge of the box, and that's when we're in danger. And that's when I feel people in the crowd saying, why is that person, why is our centre-back not going to press that run? And the reason is because that's not his job. Our midfielder needs to come across, and by the time our midfielder comes across, it's too late. They're in and around our box, and they're peppering us at that point. And that's the issue with the formation. You need to stop that initial ball across, because then the whole midfield needs to shuffle, and it's a lot of running for the midfield, and I get it, and it's like it's a pain. And a frustrating one on the Derby incident, it was where Morishita, not a fault of his own, he's just following the run that, because he's having to do that. And you can see the kit and the leg in that midfield. There's a lot of running needed to cover that space in the midfield, which could be resolved by just putting a spare player in there to not do that job. And that's it. That's the sacrifice of having with three at the back and then the two wider players. But Morishita's come and run, followed in, left the void player in the middle, which he then should have picked up, and then that's when they've gone and scored. I think it was their second goal. And it's going to happen because ultimately you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to catch the runs all the time, and it's just how we adapt with it, and we're not adapting with it well enough.
Football for me is all about outscoring the opposition. It's when you strip it back to its core, we've just got to score more goals. So I'd be happy to let in 2 or 3 goals as long as we score 4 or 5. And at the minute, we just look like the polar opposite of that, because what we're doing is we're being too defensively minded. We're leaving ourselves exposed, and Derby was a classic example of that. I think John Eustace changed a couple of things at half time, not necessarily in personnel, but just they looked a lot slicker and sharper, and that for me really kind of shone a light on that we are a little bit more exposed in midfield. So like I say, I don't ever confess to being a football coach or anything like that, but I've been watching football now for 38 years, and there's a big hole in the centre of our midfield. And you can argue, well, we've got Forshaw and Bradgie. Yeah, they're doing a job for us, but we're just far too exposed. The Alabuso and Ribeiro, they were too wide, far too wide, and we were outnumbered in midfield. And midfield, wins or loses games, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. You guys are amazing. We've reached our time. We've got to get Jonty to bed. He's got a busy week. And again, appreciate the youngsters. And of course, the legend there's Jonty and everybody watching at home. We've got to go. Big game this weekend. I'll be here with a watch along. Jonty will be in the stands. Jacob, are you going to be in the stands?
Yeah, come on, mate. It's 12:30 kickoff. We're going for a Turkish after, if anybody fancies that as well. So
I'm going for a meal actually at the end of the.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's have a meeting.
We'll see. If I'm playing this weekend, I'm playing. If I'm not playing this weekend, I'll be at the game. We shall see.
All right. Well, good stuff. Bring home the points. Bring home their points. Anyway, you guys are amazing. We got to go. Thanks, everybody. Once again, I'm going to chuck you all out of here. And then, of course, we're going to tap out nice and early. See you all later. Again, see you guys later. Ciao, ciao, ciao. We got to go. Bye, bye, bye.